Welcome back to A Shot at Bliss. This is Yadi.
And Meli. And this is episode 4. Are you becoming your parents?
Question mark. Okay, guys. Do you ever remember saying as a kid that you would never, ever become like your parents?
Or did you ever say you didn't like something they did that you said you would never do yourself?
I know I have.
Me too. Apparently, when you grow up, you start becoming your parents.
Yes, because I am my mom.
And they keep telling me I am too.
So, Meli, what was one thing that you said you weren't going to do that you do now?
So I remember growing up, probably like around my teens, I used to love going shopping, or I used to love just being out, not being home. I hated being home. I remember coming home from school and I was like, Mom, I need something for school, or let's go buy this, or let's go do that after school. And my mom would always be like, okay, but we're gonna go right now. Like as soon as she picked me up from school, we're gonna go right now, because as soon as I get home, I don't want to leave anymore. And I was like, why? Like I would always be like, why? It's so much fun, like just being out. Like why wouldn't you want to go out? And she's like, I don't have the energy. Like, once you're home, you just want to be home.
Yeah.
And now I'm doing the same thing.
No way. So when you guys were home and you would ask her to go to the store or to go get something, she just wouldn't leave the house.
Yeah, she's like, no, mejor no. I'm already home. I don't want to go anymore.
I can relate though. Sometimes I'm just at home and I'm like, I do not want to leave the house anymore.
I feel like once you're home, you're kind of like in relax mode. And you're like, nope, I'm not getting myself appropriate for like seeing people. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you're in your relaxed clothing. You're like not to go out and see people in public.
Yeah.
Or even deal with people.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, you know what? I could probably relate to that too. I was always the first to jump up and say, let's go.
Yeah,
let's go.
Yeah, when I was young, for sure, I always wanted to be out too. And then I don't know what happened to me, but I don't now. If I'm already home, I really I struggle to get out.
Yeah.
To buy like groceries or go out and buy whatever I need, I'm just like, no, instead I'll wait till tomorrow or after work tomorrow. And then it's like, no, once I'm home, I'm home.
Yeah. I mean, after a long day, the last thing you want to do is go back out in traffic. Yeah. And then right now, the stores are crazier than ever.
I know. Maybe that's it too.
Yeah, maybe that's it. I'm pretty sure that has an impact on...
I don't know, but I'm starting to get used to this. So when I get home, I'm just in relax.
Yeah, girl, I'm right with you.
I don't think that's going to change even after the quarantine.
Maybe this was their plan all along.
I know. But Yadi, what about you? What was one thing that you remember from your childhood?
You know what? One thing that I remember so vividly, and also because I posted it on Facebook, and now it reminds me every year of this comment that I made.
No way!
And I said, when I grow up, I am going to make sure that I have a hot, home-cooked meal on the table for my kids.
You posted
every
that?
Single day, and ask me if I have that on the table every single day for them.
For your kids.
Yeah,
Aww.
You know what? It's so much harder than it seems.
Yeah.
And when I was younger, I didn't understand that. Sometimes I would tell my mom, man, I want this. No, ya te hice esto. And I'm like, really? Or, it's just, now I get it. And there's just days where it's like, we're going to have takeout tonight.
Yes.
So I really remember that. And I remember even my mom's friends bashing on me because they knew what it was, right? They're like, Yadi, just wait till you have your own kids, girl. Wait till you're married. And I'm like, no.
And then now.
Look at me. And they still to this day remind me, what happened to that, home cooked meal every day you were going to have on the table?
Dang, that's crazy. I mean, I can't even keep up with home cooked meals right now when it's just me. I can't imagine having to feed 2 little ones and a hubby.
Yeah. No, I know. We try.
Do you like cooking?
I don't mind it. I just feel like sometimes there's so much going on in my day that it just becomes more of a burden than something that I enjoy. Because it's not always fun. Sometimes it's just something that I have to do, obviously, because I need to feed myself, my kids, and my husband.
If you had more time, maybe, huh?
Yeah, I feel like if I had more time.
I feel like there's never more time.
I know. You just have to make time, right? Yeah, definitely.
So what about when your kids fall? What do you tell them? Because when I was growing up, my dad would always tell me, just get back up. You're fine. Just get back on the bike or whatever it was, you know?
Yeah. He wouldn't like rub your owie and say, oh,
no,
yeah.
That would be my mom, but not my dad. My mom would be with the song, you know, the sana sana. My dad would be like, no, she's fine. Just let her get up.
I think with my kids, I'm a little bit of both, but definitely I'm mostly the parent that just tells them, you know what, you're fine, just get back up. I feel like if I make a big deal out of it, they'll just exaggerate it. I mean, of course, if it's something severe, then that's a different story. But if it's just like they fell and they scraped their leg or they fell from the bike, but nothing really happened because, you know, they had their helmet and their knee pads and their elbow pads, then, you know, there's no need to make a big deal, and they're fine.
And there's no need to break out the song.
No, there's no need for that. It's just, you know, they need some tough love sometimes.
Wait, but would your parents do that to you?
They would. My dad, he would just, he would just be like, no, you're fine. You're fine. No, she's fine. He'll say. My mom, she'll be like, oh, no, go check on her. She wouldn't check on me. She'll just say, go check on her.
And your dad's like, no, she's fine.
Yeah. And, you know, reality is I was fine.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah.
And now you know why your dad was like, yeah, she's just fine.
Yeah.
So now you're becoming like your mom and your dad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I was raised by both. So now it's kind of like embedded in me to just act like them at times. Or, you know, there are things that, you know, they did with me that I believe worked. So I do them now, right?
And you think that one worked?
I think that one worked. I think that it toughened me up.
Keeping the tradition.
Using some tough love on my kids.
Okay, I remember something so funny from when I was younger. Mm-hmm. Whenever we'd have a party or a gathering at my house, I was like one of the only kids at the parties, and I would be put to bed like really early and the party's still going on. So everybody's in the living room, and mind you, it was a small house. So I could always hear like the loudness. I could hear it in my room. But the thing was, like, I was in my room trying to go to sleep. So first I couldn't because it was loud. And then the lights are out, and I'm such a scaredy cat, or I used to be a scaredy cat. And the only thing I could hear laying down in my room with the lights out, and I hear my mom's laugh. My mom has like the loudest laugh ever, which if you guys have heard this podcast for a while, you probably know that I do too. I do. I have my mom's laugh. And when I was little, it would scare me so much. Her laugh was the loudest thing, and I could hear it so clearly, and it kind of sounded like a witch was like, you know, like cackling. That. How do you say it?
A witch cackling?
Yeah, that's what it would sound like, and it was so scary. And I remember saying like, oh my gosh, Mom, stop laughing. And then... And now I'm like, okay, I feel bad for my future kids because I have the exact same laugh and it just comes out and it's so loud, and I know my kids are going to have the same thing.
That is so funny. Fast forward 20 years and here you are, Melly, with the same evil laugh.
I know. And I can't do anything about it.
That is so funny.
Are you anything like your mom?
I am. You know what? She doesn't have a very loud, evil laugh, but she is very, very loud.
Okay.
So, I mean, I could be standing next to her and she's just screaming at me. And it's like, why are you screaming? And I do the same exact thing. My husband's always like, girl, chill. Like, I'm right next to you. And I'm like, you already know this is how I talk. I don't know why you always have to comment. So I am pretty loud. I feel like there's no in between with me. Like, I'm either like whispering very, very low, or I'm just like, you know, talking loud.
Wow. Wait, so what about your kids? Are they?
My kids are pretty loud. They are loud.
Dang, the generation of loudness continues.
Right. And it's not just my mom though. Like, my dad is really loud too. So I get it from both sides.
Oh yeah.
And when the family gets together, it's like so loud, and it's just funny. We're all talking over each other too. It's not like we like even let each other talk, which just makes us get louder because we're trying to like, you know, talk over each other, and it's just so funny.
Yeah, in parties, everybody's like trying to talk over each other, and there's like 30 different conversations going on in one room.
And you're trying to be the one that you're trying to be the one heard.
Yeah.
Nobody's really listening.
It's just too much going on.
Yeah.
Kind of like you, it's a survival instinct for you.
Right. It's like survival of the fittest, but the loudest.
It's survival of the loudest.
Yes.
It's kind of like in those big families where you have to eat like really, really fast so you can get seconds before like the food is gone, you know? And this is kind of like that where you have to like talk really, really loud in order to be heard.
Yes. That is so funny that you mentioned about the seconds, because this actually, we would do this not with my family, but when I was in college, I was rooming with my two best girls. And I remember it was either I or my other friend that we would cook, right? We would cook dinner. And the two of us that would cook, we eat really fast. And the other one eats very, very slow. So I remember when we would serve each other, we would eat really fast. And, you know, the two of us would always get seconds. But my other friend would always have to stick just with her plate because she would never eat. She would never get to the seconds because we would always eat them first. Oh my gosh, it was so funny. And now I think back, I'm like, oh, I feel so bad. But I didn't really feel bad.
Because you got seconds.
Yes. And she would get upset. We would see her face. She'd be like, you know, I'm like, girl, you gotta eat fast.
Oh man, I feel for your friend because I'm one of those slow eaters.
No way.
Yeah.
I'm a fast
but
eater.
I feel like I'm a slow eater because I was an only child. So like I didn't have anyone to compete to eat.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was not an only child, but I was very far apart from my other siblings. We're all 6 years apart. And growing up, I think I would just compete with like my dad and my mom. Because we're all very fast eaters. So
that's crazy.
Yeah. It was healthy competition.
Damn, you guys are training for one of those like eating contests or something?
Oh my gosh. So another thing that I've noticed is that when I was younger, or actually till this day, when I go get something out of the car for my mom, I notice all her shopping bags in the, what is it called? The
trunk.
Yeah, the trunk. The cajuela in the trunk. And then I go back to my mom and I'm like, Mom, you have a bunch of shopping bags in the bag. Oh, I know, no, just leave them there. You know, just leave them there. It's okay.
And they're full of like...
They're full of just
whatever she
brand new
bought.
clothes. Yeah, or shoes, whatever it is. And I'm like, why do you do it? She's like, no, I just don't want your dad to know. But I know she doesn't really mean that. She just says that.
Yeah.
And I know my dad wouldn't mind, but it's just a habit she has, I guess, right? So now sometimes I find myself leaving shopping bags in my car.
You too.
Yeah. And Armando will like go into the car for whatever reason. He'll be like, well, what is this, Yaddy? When did you go to the store? When did you buy this? And I'm just like, and I don't even know what to tell him. Like, I'm not trying to hide it from him, but you know, he probably thinks I am. But it's just such a habit, and I don't know why it is, but I am my mom.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Do you leave the shopping bags in the car because you don't want him to find out, or you don't want to feel the price that you just spent?
It's because I don't want to feel the price that I spent. Definitely.
You're
because
like, if I leave this one bag in here, it's like instead of $100, it's $50.
Yeah. No, for sure, because I usually come out with like 3 bags and I take 1 or 2 in with me and then I just leave the other one in the car. And it's just, you know, I don't really feel everything I bought until I see my bank account, of course. But other than that, I just feel like it's just a habit. And I'm sure my mom does it because of that too.
Yeah.
You know, I like to splurge. So it's like I haven't gone to the store in such a long time and there's just no need for me to go. And then when I finally do go, here I go, spending a bunch of cash and it's not even cool, man. So I definitely think that I leave them in the car, at least that one bag, just so I won't feel it as much. I won't feel as guilty.
It doesn't become real until you bring that one bag into your house.
Or all of them together.
It's just too much.
Yes, too much for me to handle.
That's so funny.
I mean, I'm already so exhausted after shopping, you know? I don't need that mental stress either.
That one bag makes a difference.
Yes.
I know there's a lot of parents out there, and I know my parents would sometimes say this too, where they would be like, they would serve you a plate of food and they would tell you you can't leave the table until you finish all your food. And if you didn't finish it, they would tell you, you have to eat it because, you know, there's other kids in the world who don't have a meal today and you have food on your plate and you're not eating it all. Do you do this with your kids now?
I do this with my kids, but I feel like in my case, it's okay. Just because I feel like I feed them, like what I serve them is proportionate to what they should be eating. Just because if I am going to eat a full plate of, you know, just example, rice and chicken, I'm sure that they can get full with half of that, or even like
half of your portion.
Yeah, half of my portion, or even half of that half, you know, just because, you know, they're 6 and 4, so they don't need much. And sometimes they do ask me for more. I'll serve them a little bit more, but after that, I'm like, okay, no, you're okay, right? Because when my parents used to do that to me, they would serve me like a full adult-sized plate, and I would devour that.
No
I mean,
way.
They wouldn't even have to tell me twice to eat it. I am a big eater, so I would just be like, okay, yeah, I'll eat it, fine. I'll even go for seconds. But yeah, did you ever experience that with your parents?
I mean, I did sometimes, but the majority of the time, I remember them telling me the opposite.
No way.
They would serve me a plate and they'd be like, watch your weight. Like, if you want, you can leave some food. Like, you don't have to finish it all.
And you're like, no, but I'm hungry.
And I'm all like, it's only this. Yeah, I was a good eater too. Oh, man.
But it's funny that you mentioned that, you know, because growing up, I remember my dad always told me that too. You know, you need to watch your weight. Or he would look at me and he'd say, hey, look, I see a little, you know, side, what is it?
Muffin top?
A little muffin top. You know, you need to work on that. And, you know, I was what, like
in your teens, right?
Yeah, 14, 15. I mean, I was in pretty good shape back then. So, you know, I would just be like, what, really? And, you know, I would automatically start, you know, like, you know, eating less carbs and, you know, like exercising more and stuff. But now that I'm older, I'm just like, wait, you know, like I was young. I didn't feel the need for that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, wow. So you listened to them because when I was told, I wouldn't listen.
No.
I was like, I think I look fine. But no, my parents, they can be very negative in that way where the way they see it, for them to get you to do something and to motivate you to do something, they kind of do the negative, like hard push.
Like the putting you down in order for you to...
Yeah, they put you down because they think that if they put you down, you're going to fight more to prove them wrong. Mm-hmm. And that was like constantly though. So it was a lot of negativity a lot of the time. And now growing up, I'm actually like, I don't even catch it. Actually, other people tell me. So mostly my boyfriend, because he's around. And he's the only one who probably would tell me to my face, you know. But he would say, like, you're being really negative. And it's just like because I grew up that way where I'm like constantly seeing the bad in something. But recently and as in my 20s, I have caught on to it. And I'm now trying to like change it. And instead of being the kind of person who sees the glass half empty, I see it as the glass half full. Or I try to see it. I try to switch my mentality. And I think it's been working. I mean, I've been more positive, and I don't know if it's because I'm no longer around them since I moved out. Yeah. But I've always been trying to change that because I didn't like the fact that it was too much negativity at times when they were trying to teach me a lesson. And it was just I didn't think it was the right way for me to learn it. I did learn their lessons, but I would have preferred to learn them a different way. Right. And I'm trying to switch it around now. So,
okay. And I think that goes for everything, right? You just, if you don't like something that your parents did or, you know, continue doing, just, you know, learn from that, take it with you, but just kind of, you know, switch it around and turn it into something positive.
Or just take what they did and you didn't like, take what they did and make it better. Try to make it work for you.
Yeah, because I'm sure they meant well.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, the way they were doing it, it's just...
Maybe the way they were doing it was the way it worked for them. But
or maybe it's just the way that they were taught and they just don't know anything else. I think it's normal for that to happen. You know, it's like, it's a cycle. It's a cycle to learn something, and that's what you teach your children, and that's what your children are going to teach their children, and that's that's what keeps the cycle going, right? But it just takes you to realize that, you just don't like that, and you just flip that switch.
Yeah.
And you now do it differently. And then when you have children, you teach them differently. And, you just kind of change the entire dynamic of it, because if you don't like something, then don't stick with it,
Don't stick with it, but also work with it. Like, work to make it better, work to change yourself, work to change it, whatever it is.
Yeah. You have to take the good and the bad and make it better.
Whether it's like working on yourself or teaching the next generation.
Definitely.
And then generation through generation, it'll get better.
Yeah. And you could be the one to break that cycle.
Yeah. But the crazy part is realizing that you start as a grown up in your 20s. As a grown up, you start becoming like your parents. Like, you start doing stuff that you didn't even realize you're doing that they do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you were around it for so long.
Yeah.
That it just comes natural to you.
It just sticks with you, but it's crazy that you don't even notice it sometimes.
Until somebody else points it out.
Yeah, or you start really thinking about it.
Yeah. Seriously.
We challenge you guys to think about, what is it that you do like your parents that you would say you would never do?
Drop us a comment on Instagram, on Twitter, guys. We have a Twitter account. For those of you guys who don't know, follow us, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. So let us know what you're doing that your parents used to do and you used to dislike so much.
Or you would say you would never do. And now it's you.
Now you are them. Those are going to be interesting.
I know,
I'm sure that we have a lot more, but these are the only ones that we can think of.
All right, guys. Catch you on the next one.
Bliss out, guys.
Bliss out.